Morning, welcome to Morning Mean. So here's what's on my mind this morning. And I don't know why this is on my mind. It might be because I was listening to a Daily Stoic podcast, and one of the things he was talking about was the bad advice you get from people on the internet. Hopefully I'm not falling in that category. But one of the things he talks about is following your passion and how that's really bad advice. And that just got me thinking, what would you say to your younger self? You're 17, 18, about to graduate from high school. What would your advice be? What would you caution yourself about? And then if you knew you were one of those people who was going to go to college or trade school or whatever, what advice would you give to yourself at that age? And how would those things be different? Because, you're 17 or 18 versus your 21, 22, 23, 24, however long it takes you to get through your program. What advice would you give? What cautions would you provide to you at those different periods of your life? And why would they be different? That's an interesting thing to explore, an interesting exercise to explore. Why would they be different? And I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, God, one thing I would probably tell myself is, you know what? People really aren't thinking about you as much as you think they're thinking about you. They quite frankly aren't. They got their own shit going on, and they don't give a shit about you. That's the high level part, right? I would probably say that. And I probably would say, you know what? The thing you think is super important right now with that boy isn't going to mean anything to you in 5 years. It may not even mean anything to you in a year. It's not all that tragic. So things like that. I would probably say, hey, go after everything you want to do. Now, I was pretty good about that when I was younger. I'm not as good about it as I've gotten older, going about everything that I want to do. So I probably would just ram that home. Do it, do it, do it. Go after it. If you're not hurting anybody else, you're not hurting yourself, go after the thing you want to go after, and don't stop until you want to stop going after it. That's what I would probably say. Those are at least some of the things that I'm thinking about. And so think about that today. What would, and I know you've heard this before, but have you ever done the actual exercise of it? Sitting down and thinking about what advice, what cautions would you give yourself at 17 or 18 versus when you're 21, 22, 23, 24. And you could extend it out. I'm in my 50s, so I can say, well, what would I have told my 30-year-old self? And I think back and I'm like, God, I would probably have told my 30-year-old self to stress a hell of a lot less, because again, the shit you think is important isn't really important, doesn't move a needle, and 5 years from now you really aren't going to even care about that. So it's this whittling down to what really is important to you and what matters the most to you. And these things can fluctuate or change over time, but I'm finding that some of them are pretty constant. And so, for example, one of them being my passion for my family has always been there, and helping my family has always been there, whether that's extended family I came from, or now my own family with my children and my husband. So keep whittling down to what really matters. What is the most important? What is your one thing? What's it? What is it? Leave a comment. See you later.